Hello, my first journal of 2022 is now completed. But as I started this one back in September 2021, I don't think it counts, really. This is a 250-page, perfectly penned journal with the brown vegan leather cover. I started this journal on the day I felt autumn arrive back in September, and it's now Friday, the 18th of February. It takes me a while to complete a journal, but I do go through periods of not writing in it, especially if I've been doing so much writing elsewhere. As I've said before, I use this journal to write down lots of things. So, for example, I'm using it right now to write the script for this video. I also use it to write down snippets of thoughts, even if they're not fully formed at that moment. I write down ideas for blog posts, YouTube or IGTV videos, ideas for reels and Pinterest idea pins. I write my worries and anxieties just to get them out of my head. I write down my ambitions and goals, and I break them down to work out how to achieve them. And I write down my frustrations with myself and my writing and my creative work. This can be incredibly powerful as it directs me with where I want to go. And then when I've finished writing in it, I will look through and look for themes. I'd look for sort of messages I've made for myself that I didn't know at the time. I think a writing journal is a really powerful way of understanding yourself and your creativity. And I highly recommend that you have a journal where you just give yourself permission to make a mess, to write what's in your head, use it as an external hard drive for your brain, and just relax with it. Don't be afraid of that blank page. Don't be afraid of making ink splodges or crossing words out. Whatever it is, just relax with it and treat it as your own sacred space. So now I'm going to give you a tour through my notebook, and as you can see here, I've marked off a number of pages that I am happy to show you. Obviously, I'm not going to show you everything because a lot of it is deeply personal, and if I felt that I had to share every page inside my journal, then I wouldn't be honest in there. I wouldn't use it as fully as I could do. And the potential to use a journal, the potential that comes with a journal is massive, but it can only be massive if you're completely relaxed within there. Okay, so let's start at the first page that I have marked off. And I'm going to read out what I've written down here on this pink sticky note, because I've gone through this journal before and highlighted these pages to try and give you a broad example of how I use my journal and the sorts of things I write inside it. So here I'm saying that I'm extremely frustrated with myself, and when I was reading it back, I realised how many shoulds that I placed on myself and my work. So no wonder I was tense at the time. And again, these things happen in hindsight, but this was September, end of September. So I'd had my first full year of working in my writing business, and I hadn't had a break really for summer. No wonder I was tense at the time. I was having a lot of self-loathing moments around my work. I was also getting frustrated with my lack of progress, even though looking back at last year, I made a huge amount of progress, and I had a lot of imposter syndrome. And I find this really interesting. I'm so glad I recorded these thoughts and feelings, because hopefully I will learn from this, and come September again, this year's different. We've already booked a holiday for the summer, which we didn't do last year because of COVID and everything. So hopefully this year will be different, and I will manage my time better. and I will have proper breaks. And that is something I definitely didn't do last year. I was having a lot of expectations of how much I could achieve. And again, I've put here, you're just one person. So I was putting immense pressure on myself back in September and October. And again, I think here, this is just an example of a few lines that I've written. I don't always write the day because it's not that kind of thing. It's just an example of how I've written a few sentences here. Just a few lines is sometimes all you need, and you can learn from this when you look back. So on the next page I'm showing you is my reaction to reading a novel called The Rules Upheld by No One by Amy McNee. And then I've also written down a testimonial I got. It's basically some feedback that I got from one of my club members. And I always talk about within the club how important it is to make a note of the positive things people have said to you, so that when you're not feeling particularly great, you can look back at these comments. Now this is just a stream of consciousness really, because I was at the physio the previous day and I found myself describing what I did for a living and the sort of subjects I was talking about, and I thought, oh, this is quite good. I'll write this down for if and when I need it to describe either online or when looking for writing work or just in my regular life as well. So I wrote that down in my journal. Here I've just literally written one word, but that was the buzzword of the session within the Confident Creative Club at the time in the masterclass, I think it was, percolating, or maybe it was in another session, I can't remember now, but I wrote that down just in case it was a useful thing for the future. And then here, I've put here, this was a mad scramble of YouTube ideas after my head felt full and after feeling like I wasn't organised, productive or streamlined. And this is why I now write scripts before filming. So let's just have a quick look. Do you like confidence? 5 things so this is pretty much just some examples of the sorts of things I could do on my YouTube channel. And also this is another reason why I started to use my planner pad, or bought myself a planner pad, which I've shown on previous videos. I think this was when I just felt my head was so full with potential, with ideas, but also I was very much aware of what I'd written earlier, which was how I had this lack of time and that I was just one person. I'm trying, I think, at this stage to work out how I can do everything that I want to do, but in the time that I have available. And one of the ways was by creating scripts for YouTube videos, which reduces the amount of time I spend editing, but also how I could see exactly what I wanted to achieve with my projects. And that's when I started to think about getting the planner pad, just to stop my head feeling like such a big scramble of ideas and things to do. This page is a quote that spoke to me that I saw on probably Instagram. I've written down some hashtags when I was doing some hashtag research, and just some thoughts that I had on TikTok, or some ideas I had for an Instagram reel. And then what happened with my big sort of mess of ideas on the previous page for YouTube, I came up with a kind of strategic idea of the sort of things I could do and how I could make my life easier by producing these sorts of videos. I haven't done any Write With Me sessions yet, although I do them within the Confident Creative Club, and the 5 things I've enjoyed this month. I tend to do that in my newsletter on a weekly basis. It was basically just me starting to make sense of my ideas, trying to create a kind of structure, if you like. And even though I don't do all of these, it's just so helpful to write them out, even if you discount them at a later date. And then I've done things like a writing desk tour, which I've done, how I create a cozy desk. I did something like that at Christmas time. And then on the next page, this is where I was talking about how my husband said I was obsessed with desks, and then this turned out to be a newsletter. This one was when I had to actually cancel an Eventbrite event that I'd done, and again I think it was linked to the fact that I am just one person and I was overdoing it at the time, and I was getting all these headaches and clenching in my jaw. I have written down here guilt, failure and self-sabotage, and I wonder if that's what I was doing at the time. It's just interesting to write down your feelings around your creativity, and when you look back you can learn from it. Right, so now we're into November, and if you read the first paragraph, I'm basically saying that I want to write but I feel blank, so I'm going to keep pushing on writing to try and understand what's going on in my head. I think, again, with hindsight, what was going on in my head was that I was putting pressure on myself. I hadn't taken a break for a substantial period of time, and this was then leading to feelings of imposter syndrome, all the kind of negative feelings that comes when you're tired and you need a break. And then I was listening to a podcast with Sacha Black, and she actually said, I don't have to prove to myself that I'm an expert. I simply have to share the lessons I've learned. And I think this one might be something that I've said, although I cannot swear to that. Don't let the potential opinions of others stop you from pursuing your creative dreams. Potential opinions. So I've written here on this little sticky note as I've gone through it's very windy here, I don't know if you can hear it, but if you go back through your journal, like I said earlier, you can learn things about yourself. And one thing that I've learned is out of my anxiety and stress came an idea. A gentle start to January. This was the birth of my course, Tiny Steps, Big Impact. So for the first bit of this journal, there was a lot of sort of angst and, I'm just one person and I can't do everything and stuff like that. But from that, I gained an idea of how I would like to start the new year. And I knew a lot of people, including my club members, always felt pressure at the beginning of a year to have all their resolutions, if you like, to have their word of the year, to know what direction they wanted to go in with their creativity at the beginning of the year. And I just wanted to start the year gently, and that's what I did. I created a course, and then I created a masterclass for the club, and it was called Needing a Break. So from my own experiences, I created a masterclass to help other people with their own burnout, if you like. And this goes back to this quote here: I don't have to prove to myself that I'm an expert. I simply have to share the lessons I've learned. So I was literally sharing the lessons I'd learned about how I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, how I'm only one person, and this was all leading to the self-sabotage and imposter syndrome because I was so tired with it all. And I shared those lessons in my masterclass. Then I just wrote down some books that I wanted to read over the Christmas holidays. And then this must be coming towards the end of the year, but I was starting to think of what I would like to achieve during 2022 in my gentle way, because that's what I've learned about myself, not to put too much pressure on myself. And I did, I took those lessons with me into this year, and I'm just concentrating now on one writing project, for example, at a time, rather than doing 2 or 3 at the same time. I was writing about what books I read in December. I was thinking about what I could do for YouTube shorts, although thinking now, that's going to be far too much work for me to do separate things for separate platforms. And then this is a marketing idea I had, but as I've said here, I had this idea, but I don't think I did anything with it due to lack of time. Plus, it was a marketing idea, and I find I'm shy when it comes to promotional ideas, although I am working on that. Here I've got a blog post idea that I haven't written just yet. I don't know if I will do anything with it, but I've recorded it and maybe I can come back to it at a later stage. Then this is a script I wrote out for a YouTube video. And here, what does this say? This became my goals/projects for Q1. So this is me writing down my initial ideas just to getting everything out of my head. And I've put here, it helped writing it in rough first before I committed it to my planning journal. It gave me more freedom to explore and to really think about and dig into what I really wanted to do. This one I did a recap of 2021. Was this for a video or was this for a newsletter? It was for a newsletter. So I planned that out in here. Again, like the YouTube shorts, I did some ideas of what I could do IGTVs about. Don't even think they're called IGTV anymore, but it's long portrait videos on Instagram. And I've put here, go through this journal for other ideas. And this is the beauty of having a writing journal, because you've got so many ideas. I've got 5-6 journals now, and I think I have plenty of ideas to pull out of them. And then here I've put in 2022 I wanted to do lives on Instagram, but this was slightly too far out of my comfort zone, so I pre-recorded until I get comfortable enough, and then I will start going live. So I'm sketching out ideas and writing a script for my IGTVs in here. Some of these I researched, and some of these were my own ideas for prompts for my Tiny Steps course within the Confident Creative Club. This I started writing about comfort zones, and I was basically planning on writing about how it's time to take a step out of your comfort zone and to start being brave and to take those initial steps. But then I had a change of heart, because as I was writing, it made me think about the last 2 years we've had and how far out of our comfort zone the past 2 years have been for many of us. So I then thought, well, is now the time? Is it the right time to take a step out of your comfort zone? Or is it a time to look after yourself? So that's food for thought. Then the next page, I did a little circle about the comfort zone. I was just exploring my ideas and what I really felt and my opinions of it. So it just helped to sketch that out in here. And then I sketched out an idea for an IGTV video. And then I had listened to a podcast that I'd come across on TikTok. Sometimes the For You page on TikTok is really good, but just lately it's just given me so much dross. But when it really gets me, and it shows me something like this Fern Cotton interview where she was talking about getting older and how she's more fearful of doing different things, then I love it when TikTok does that, but most of the time it's just full of dross. Anyway, I loved the what Fern Cotton, she's a UK presenter, and I loved what she was saying. It really spoke to me. I then went to buy her book, and it's really interesting. This is when I had a conversation with a member of the CCC, the Confident Creative Club, and I was just writing down so fast. I've written so many spelling mistakes, for example, how I've written rhythm there, appalling, but I just didn't have the time to think about what it was I was writing, wanted to write. I just wanted to get it all down. And then this is a chat with another member after another writing hour within the Confident Creative Club, and again I was just scribbling down ideas. Then I was asking the question, what does creative fear look like for you? Because these previous conversations plus other ones that I've had, these conversations got me thinking about creative fear. So I started to boil all my thoughts down into some sort of coherent, I hope, piece of writing that became a newsletter in the end. And I think I also turned it into an IGTV as well. And this is it, the continuation of it here. And that looks like that's the last bookmark. So that is my full notebook, my first full notebook of 2022. And like I say, it's a perfectly penned one. And my next notebook is going to be this Yop and Tom one. This is basically really invaluable stuff, and it will go with my other notebooks that have also been filled in and that I use to read through every now and again, just for ideas, just looking for themes, just looking for clues of the direction I want to go on with my creative journey, looking for content ideas, looking for lessons that I've learned with my fears or my anxieties and that sort of thing. So yeah, writing journals are a really, really good thing to have, a good practice to have, and you don't have to worry about keeping them perfect. Just bash them up and write down everything that comes into your head. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Bye.